Sometimes I take long walks around this old cemetery to read the names on the cracked headstones. Hundreds of dead bodies are buried in the dampened soil all around me, and I even recognize a few of them from the neighborhood. With so much death and despair under the surface, it's impossible to appreciate what surrounds me. This Anglican cemetery has been here for over 100 years, and it once looked like something out of a Stephen King novel. You could barely get through the piles of rotten garbage to find your loved ones. A few years ago, the only people occupying this space were either looking for cheap drugs or loose women. If it weren't for my mom and a few of her girlfriends from the church, I'd probably be sitting next to a dried up needle or a used condom. They replaced the parasitic weeds with over 100 perennials and planted dozens of sugar maple and white oak trees to provide a little shade. They even raised enough money to hire a few landscapers to build artistic wooden structures and remove the graffiti tags littering the concrete walls surrounding the cemetery. It's amazing what a couple of bake sales and a few fundraisers can do. Sometimes I catch myself getting completely lost in the overwhelming smell of fresh-cut grass and the distinct muffled sound of duck calls from the circular pond behind the row of death. This place could be peaceful if I were a different person, but if I had a choice, I would crawl in with my mom and go back to sleep. I'm only about 50, so I'd probably squeeze in and notice. If I had one superpower, it would be the ability to time travel. I would leave this world and never come back. Some days when I get here early, I lie in the dewy grass next to Mom and pretend I'm curled up in her warm bed. With her freshly cut hair brushing against my flushed face, the faint smell of her flowery perfume reminds me of when I crawled into her bed after a scary dream. If anyone saw me, they would probably think I'm some homeless kid. The funny thing is, I never feel more at home when I'm here. The homeless guy I see every day begging for loose change in front of the liquor store a couple of blocks from my house is more at peace than I am. I question how he can be so happy sitting with his skinny legs crossed, looking to the sky in weird amazement while the world ignores him. He wears the same torn up icy grape hoodie and ripped jungle green pants every day. And I'm sure the guy hasn't showered in weeks. He always goes out of his way waving some old book, trying to get me to sit with him, but I pretend not to notice. Most people are afraid to get close enough to drop a few loonies in his faded Blue Jays hat. Mom always called him Wiggs, but with a massive black beard and crazy long hair, it's too hard to tell his exact age. I wonder what happened to turn him into a man who needs to beg for loose change on a dirty street corner. Maybe his mother is also buried somewhere in this field. It's been a year since Mom was killed by some asshole who decided that checking his phone was more important than watching the winding road ahead. Getting out of bed most mornings is a struggle. It's easier to stay asleep than face the world.